Big news in the RPG world this past week. That's right, Chris Perkins, longtime employee at Wizards of the Coast, has left the building. Give you my thoughts on that, as well as maybe some candidates who might replace him. All coming up next.
I love this place!
And getting right into it, here is Chris Perkins. Pretty well thought of, mostly as an editor. He started in '97 editing Dragon Magazine. Kind of has taken more of a lead role as people have fallen by the wayside. And here is his announcement. Today I retire from Wizards after 28 years. With D&D's 50th anniversary wrapping up and the revised rulebooks doing gangbusters, this is the perfect fairy tale ending for me. I can't wait to enjoy D&D purely as a fan again, knowing the game's in good hands. See ya in the Feywild. Well, that's all very nice. That sounds like a very political, and it's certainly the kind of farewell that you would actually want from a longtime employee. You wouldn't want him to, take a sledgehammer to the place on the way out. So it's very professional on his part. Having said that, you kind of read between the lines. This new edition, by all accounts, is not doing gangbusters. It might be doing okay. Maybe it's doing better than even some of us think. It's not doing gangbusters. The proof is in the pudding. Always watch what people do rather than what they say. If D&D had a robust, profitable future, would Chris Perkins, still have left? I don't know, maybe. 28 years is a long time at one company. But there are indications that this thing is sick. And I don't want to say it's on its last legs. That would be going too far. But I don't think the near-term future of D&D is very bright. Hasbro's financials for the year-end 2024, they did not even call out the new edition of D&D in their Wizards of the Coast segment. As an accountant myself, that's fairly instructive. If it was doing quote-unquote gangbusters, they would have called that out. They would have found a way to work it in or mention it to keep shareholders, satisfied. So I have a feeling that they're not doing as well as Chris would say. But that's not his role, to say. He's doing the right thing by saying what he's saying going out. And I certainly don't begrudge him that at all. Which kind of leads me to another point I wanted to go into about Chris. So Chris did, of course, go a little haywire after 2016. I think we all know the reason why. Everybody on the left went haywire. Here he is talking about making fun of dudes who couldn't handle the female Ghostbusters losing their minds, and talking about scared white men. There's some others too. I didn't want to pile on, especially at this point. Suffice to say, he is a liberal, maybe even a bit of a leftist, but he wasn't as bad as some others. I guess we have that going for him. Another thing going for him is this. Now, as you know, I have a insider at Wizards of the Coast. They have never steered me wrong. I have a couple of tips, on some of my recent videos, to thank this person for, and they have been 100% right. They were the ones that told me about the VTT going kerplunk, and that's why I was able to scoop everybody a full day ahead of time. He thinks it's a bad thing for D&D that he's leaving, because he's one of the last of the old guards who kind of remembers what the game was like when it was a little bit more real, a little bit more hardcore. The insider thinks that they're going to replace Chris with a DEI millennial who maybe never played anything before 5th edition. Really nice guy, too. And I have heard that, actually, about Chris Perkins. To his credit, to his benefit, I think he was very approachable at Wizards of the Coast. I think that's kind of why he's coming out with a pretty good reputation. Best of luck to Chris. But where does that leave us now that he is gone? Who's going to replace him? Well, I got a couple of thoughts on this. Who could replace someone like Chris Perkins? Well, let's be fair here, okay? As well as Chris was received inside Wizards of the Coast, we're not talking about replacing someone like Augustus Caesar here. This is more like replacing, someone like Septimus Severus. We are very, very far down the road. We are in the Barracks Emperor stage at Wizards of the Coast. So there's not a lot of talent left there. The last guy who I think everybody could universally acknowledge had some talent for not just game design, but keeping out some of the silliness in that design, was Mike Merles. And they unceremoniously showed Mike the door. So these are some of the people who are hanging around, waiting to maybe grab Chris's spot. Yeah, this is Justice Rahman Arman, a lead game designer on such fantastic products as the Radiant Citadel, one of the worst adventures ever made. He has not done anything of distinction at Wizards of the Coast. A lot of people like him because maybe he used to have a spicy Twitter, and now he's probably on Blue Sky doing the same thing to a quarter of the people. But he is Iranian American, and that alone puts him in the running. That's right. That's how far Wizards of the Coast has fallen. They will put somebody in this spot just based on what nationality they are. Now, working against him, he is a guy, but I don't think there's anything they can really do at this level because all of the designers, all of the creatives that have even a pinky full of talent are all men. But still, he is a profoundly untalented person who is just a nobody. And of course, here you see what else he brings to the table, talking about laws written and passed by privileged, aging white men. Same kind of white men who make up all of your audience, Justice. In the end, though, I don't think Justice will get it. If they're going to give that position to a guy, he at least has to bring a little bit more talent than Justice has. And Justice really doesn't have much talent at all. So what if they opt to go the complete opposite direction? Now, this is who I am secretly rooting for. And that would be Mackenzie DeArmas. That's right. She only started playing D&D just a few years back. And is best known, believe it or not, for creating Asterion, the world's first autistic paladin. You go, girl. No, really, go. And of course, she was always willing to blab on about white cis males and how much they were holding her down, even though there is no way she would be where she is if it wasn't for guilty white males. Now, as untalented as Justice Rahman Arman is, Mackenzie DeArmas is she has no talent at all, like none whatsoever. They tried to give her credit for writing the Book of Many Things. I think that's where that autistic paladin Asterion came in. But really, Jason Tandro was the one who had to do all of the heavy lifting there. And like the cuck that he is, he just sat there and took it and watched her get lead billing pretty much over him for that product. At least as far as their press releases and all that. All they did was puff up Mackenzie DeArmas. And she is a talentless hack. She should not be working anywhere near the RPG industry. So I did mention Jason Tandro. Now, Jason, he's an interesting case. He's kind of like Chris Perkins, old school, white guy. What does he think about old white men?
There are materials in original Dungeons and Dragons that would never pass our inclusivity reviews today. And a lot of it is, some of it you can understand, like, okay, these are a bunch of war gamers. And so when they create a warrior class for Dungeons and Dragons, they call it the fighting man.
So as you can tell, Jason parrots the right lines and the right philosophy for Wizards of the Coast these days. Unfortunately, though, for him, he does not tick off any checkbox. He's just a liberal white guy. Sorry, Jason, that's not enough. Maybe if you announce to the world, you were Justina Tandro, wore some makeup and otherwise trooned out, Wizard of the Coast might consider you for the job. But really, even though you probably do have a little bit more talent than Justice and a lot more talent than Mackenzie DeArmas, this job's not coming to you. Sorry, buddy. Best of luck to you. And here we have it. Jeremy Crawford. That's right. He probably is going to be the one who takes Chris Perkins's job, moving up just a rung on the ladder. Those two kind of worked together, although he was below Chris, and now he will probably just go up to Chris's seat. So Jeremy Crawford, not a very talented guy either. I remember hearing RPG Pundit talking about, his time when they were consulting him on 5th edition, and he had good things to say about Mike Merles. He was appreciative of Mike's talent. I'm not sure if he said anything about Chris Perkins. I'm sure he was fine with, whatever Chris was doing back then, which is probably more editing than anything else. But I do remember him distinctly telling me that Jeremy Crawford was just a nobody. This was 12 years ago or so. Still, he just said he was basically a note taker. He's somebody you would ask to take notes and then go get lunch. But when you stick around long enough and you're loyal to the company, I guess good things can happen to you. And it might in Jeremy Crawford's case. But what a sad state of affairs that this guy would be the de facto head of D&D. And you heard me talk about my contact within Wizards of the Coast. For all the good things that they actually said about Chris Perkins, being approachable and actually just a nice guy internally, it was pretty much the opposite as far as Jeremy Crawford. Didn't have a lot of time for those folks. And you can kind of see that in his demeanor otherwise. He kind of has that sort of erudite aura about him. I don't know if that's just that it's that gay man aura. He is openly and proudly gay. So he can come off as a little persnickety, let's just say. So not the greatest guy to go to if you have a question about D&D, if you work at Wizards of the Coast. What about outside? So here we have Jeremy talking about half races a few years ago, saying how they are just not comfortable and haven't been for years with any of the options that start with half. And here we have a tweet from a few years back. You've reminded us that alignment is a suggestion. Does that mean you're not changing anything about D&D peoples after all? This must have been a question that Jeremy got. And he says, in answer, we are working to remove racist tropes from D&D, whatever those are. Alignment is only one part of that work, and alignment will be treated differently in the future. Did they really treat it differently? Let me know in the comments if they did. So you see here, like a lot of modern day leftists, Jeremy is kind of a little obsessed with race and all that stuff, which is always amusing to me. As here is a picture of the Wizards of the Coast staff from just a few years ago. You can pause it here and let me know how many black faces you see in that crowd at Wizards of the Coast. They're such hypocrites, along with Green Ronin, Paizo, all those Seattle companies, Kobold Press, Evil Hat. They are the biggest hypocrites in the world. All these folks are obsessed with identity politics, and that's really all you need now, I think, to fill in Chris Perkins's spot. You will need to prove that you are down with the cause, and D&D will slowly decline, as it has been, for the last at least couple years. And it's just going to keep going that way because there's no talent left there. I keep telling everybody who's going to step up and create the next big thing at D&D. They can't do it. They do not have the talent. They got rid of everybody who had talent, or they let them go like they let Chris Perkins. And I don't even think Chris Perkins would be able to helm, a sizable, project, something like an old school Planescape, like where it was a whole line and not just a one-off cheap cash grab, just like Spelljammer was. It's fun to watch. I still love reporting on this stuff, even though I don't play D&D anymore. I love watching them stub their toe. I love watching the rats flee the sinking ship. Hey, it's good theater, is it not? Where will that leave Wizards of the Coast? Well, who knows? We'll see who replaces Chris. It'll probably be Jeremy Crawford. Boy, wouldn't it be fun if it was Mackenzie to Armis, though? Holy smokes. Us YouTubers, we would drop to our knees and thank the heavens. But probably not going to happen. Wizards of the Coast is stupid. They're not that stupid. Oh, well. What can you do? All right, that's all. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to join us, of course, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our weekly live stream, The Lair. It's great talk, great chat. We got the best chat around for my money, pound for pound. And it's only getting bigger. So hope you join us. All right, guys, take care. Be good. Peace out.